Golden Black Radio is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. At Academy Sports and Outdoors, we carry all the gear you need from the top brands, all at prices you'll love. And now shopping at the Academy is more convenient than ever. We offer free assembly on in-store purchases of most bikes and grills, plus free and easy curbside pickup on academy.com orders. Want to save even more every day? Open and use an Academy Sports and Outdoors credit card to get 5% off future purchases when you're approved. Save time and money at Academy Sports and Outdoors and have fun out there. Welcome in to another edition of Golden Black Radio, another victory edition of Golden Black Radio. How about that? Presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm your host, Derek Schultz. It was not as easy as the opener, but Purdue kicked it into gear after a little bit of a rocky start. They ended up handling Southern Illinois to move Barry Odom and company to a 2-0 start in their first season in West Lafayette. Now the real tests begin. An always talented USC team comes calling in the Big Ten opener, the first matchup between these two schools in a long, long time. But first, we're going to take a look back at SIU and look forward to the Trojans of Southern Cal as well with Tom Dienhart and Jellison in just a little bit. But first, a thank you to our fantastic Golden Black sponsors that make this show possible, including Purdue Federal Credit Union, a proud partner of Purdue Athletics and the official credit card for Purdue fans, Boiler Up, East End Grill, and Ripple & Company, two distinctive bistros across the street from one another on the far end of Main Street, the perfect place for your next event. The Whitaker Inn, this Midwestern oasis, is perfect for a relaxing staycation or a weekend getaway. Escape from the ordinary at the Whitaker Inn. And the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research. The Purdue Institute for Cancer Research has a history of innovation and one goal for the future: defeat cancer. Purdue brings together world-class Boilermaker scientists from all across the university, conducting cutting-edge research that uncovers new ways to prevent, diagnose, and treat cancer. With your support, cancer research saves lives. Join the fight and donate to the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research today. Let's go to our very own Starsky and Hutch, dynamic duo, whatever you want to call them. It's Tom Dienhart and Jellison from goldenblack.com, our football writers / coverers. And I actually kind of wanted to start with this because, Tom and I had to do this show during a one-win season last year. So we only got to do one victory show, and even then it was against Indiana State. So besides bringing a much-needed youth injection to goldenblack.com, I think you might be a good luck charm as well, my man.
Maybe. I don't know. It's definitely a different feel in West Lafayette than it was last year.
Yeah, and it feels good. And, Tom, let's start there because I think it was interesting to see Purdue face some adversity in game number 2. They allowed Southern Illinois to go on 75 yards touchdown drives on their first 2 possessions. And we've seen Purdue teams of recent vintage collapse under any sort of adversity at all. And the game was basically over from the get-go at that point and collapsing under the weight of all of that. But after that second score, so Purdue's in a 14-7 hole, the Purdue defense allowed just 133 total yards and 3 points. And some of those yards were with the game well decided. Were you impressed by that response? And obviously a nice change for this Purdue team to have a response like that.
I was, but first, thanks for not calling us the Cagney and Lacey of podcast for a nice data reference for you. Yeah, I was impressed. I always say, Derek, all of us in life are defined not how we react to success, but how do we react to adversity? How do we react when things aren't going our way? How do we react when the waters get choppy? We got to see that, like you said, on Saturday night in Ross-Ade Stadium in the first quarter. It was like a track meet, wasn't it? Up and down the field, both teams went 14-14. Purdue didn't look like I had an answer for SIU. And that was kind of worrisome if you ask me. But like you said, Derek, Mike Shear got things buttoned up on defense. He said it was more a case of just communication and execution. No wholesale changes schematically. They just played smarter and played better. And like you said, shut them down for the most part the rest of the way. So a good response to that first taste of adversity.
On the offensive side of things, Dub, we saw some of the same efficiency from that unit for Purdue, but in a different way because unlike the Ball State game, this was all about the run game and the rushing dominance, 215 yards on the ground. And it's not like they were necessarily breaking off huge chunks. It was a very methodical performance for the rush offense, getting it at 4 yards per carry, and Devin Mockabee really grinding it out. 32 carries. It felt like he could have gone for 50 if they asked him to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. He's the bell cow back for a reason in West Lafayette. And it was just a gritty performance all around in all phases. And I think Devin Mockabee's performance really personified that. They asked him to carry the load offensively. I don't think the passing game was on point as it was against Ball State, and Devin Mockabee needed to carry it 32 times for them to win. And that's exactly what he did. I think, that's kind of what you can come to expect out of Devin Mockabee, and it was abundantly clear from the first snap when you saw Christian Moore out there, who's basically a fullback at tight end. You knew that Purdue was going to try to solidify the run game, and that's exactly what they did. So hats off to them, and that was a big question mark, I think, for all of us coming into the game, is how the offensive line was going to perform, and they were leaps and bounds better, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that passing game, it's not like it wasn't crisp and sound. Ryan Brown did a good job, was in command of the offense. And Tom, I know that this staff has been singing his praises, but George Burhan actually finished as the leading receiver because of the way, not only that they spread the ball around, but because the pass wasn't as emphasized as the run was. But what did you think about his impact on the game? Because, you had long said that many people around the program feel like this might be their best player.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it has to, lift the spirits of the staff to see George looking like he's going to really round into form here, Derek. Like you said, 3 catches, just 48 yards, which also led the Boilermakers 25 yards after the catch, along at 21 yards. We talked to George today. And if you remember, there was one point where he had that ball downfield. He could have hurdled somebody. And he thought about hurdling him, but he didn't. Probably smart for a guy still coming off a serious leg injury. So a fun kid to talk to and a great talent, Derek. They're going to need him to be an all Big Ten level player if this offense wants to reach its potential, right? He's every bit of 6'5", man. Long strider, he's tough, determined, and a lot of people are hoping he can stay healthy because, boy, if he can work the middle of the field, that's going to make life a lot easier for Michael Jackson, Nitro Tuggle, E.J. Horton, those type of guys out on the edge, too.
I want to give some flowers to special teams, too. 2 more makes for Spencer Porath, even though he doinked one of them in, right? Still counts. Ended up going through there. He's made all 11 kicks this season. 2 games, obviously a very small sample dub, but for a position that is all about confidence and for a position that really has had zero stability over the last couple of years for this program, I would assume that this staff and Spencer himself probably feeling pretty good about this start.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't really talk about it today with Barry Odom at the podium, but I think it's just huge for Porath's confidence. Last year you come in, you win the starting job out of camp as a true freshman, have some up and downs. I think you only made 1 field goal outside of like 30 yards. You'll have to check me on that. But it was a struggle outside of the chip shots for him, and even though he clanked one in off the uprights, it counts all the same. So I think it's big for him, and we've really seen. James Shebus, his special teams unit, I think has played admirably. Jack McAllister last week. I know Tom keeps talking about Jack McAllister, man. He loves him. He can't get enough of him. That's Tom's guy. But no, Porath, providing some stability, at least as of right now, I think is big for the kicking game. It's nice to have in your back pocket.
Now it's on to USC. They are not ranked, but Tom and I were talking about this earlier today. The metrics absolutely love them. I saw ESPN's FPI had them ranked as a top 5 team. Now, to be fair, ESPN's FPI still has Florida as a top 25 team, and I think Alabama's at number 4. So maybe take that a little bit with a grain of salt. But Bill Connolly, another one of those stat guys, that S&P Plus, they got USC 10th. Ranked or unranked, they're obviously in a different class than Ball State and SIU. Tom, are you approaching this as an early litmus test to see kind of what Purdue is all about? Because, as talented as USC is, I know there are some major questions about what Lincoln Riley's going to do with it. The program's at a little bit of a crossroads right now.
Mm-hmm. On to USC. Sound like Bill Belichick there. You're right. There's no doubt about it. Like, everybody kind of suspects Lincoln Riley's on a bit of a hot seat out there. Things have not gone as well as projected for him. He's being paid a lot of money to win football games. Hadn't been winning enough. I think they were 4-5 in the Big Ten last year. So, yeah, there are questions. I was just talking to some USC writers before I hopped on with you guys, and they're fretting about their secondary. I guess Georgia Southern, I think Georgia Southern may expose some things back there. So no matter who you are, you're always fretting something. So that's one of their issues. But I tell you what, Derek and Dub, one of their issues isn't quarterback. Jaden Mavea, he looks like maybe a future pro here, 6'4", 220, 230. Already leads the Big Ten in passing, total offense. The great storyline, of course, Barry Odom coached him at UNLV 2023. Then Jaden transferred to USC, played 7 games, started 4 last year. Now he's the starter. So they have a great familiarity with him. Of course, Josh Henson was the OC there last year at SC. Mike Shearer knows Jaden as well from UNLV. So that's kind of a fun subplot to this game on Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to say, even the familiarity there, and I don't know how much you can glean from that, but Henson did help run this offense, right? Besides his duties as offensive line coach, with the offensive coordinator role too, and I guess it can't hurt. I guess the question is how much that inside knowledge could actually help. But we'll actually end up seeing what ends up happening there, because I think USC, while they're going to be a heavy favorite, as they should be against Purdue, they are very much an enigma. But this stretch here, Dub, SC, Notre Dame, Illinois is a top 10 team, and man, what a performance they had in Durham. We don't know how good Duke is, but certainly Duke is better than some of the FCS competition that some of these other teams are facing, and it's a true road game. Obviously, you'd be thrilled just to get one, but failing that, how important is it in your eyes just to kind of keep your head above water here and show that Purdue can compete with these teams again, which is what we were used to seeing for a long time?
Yeah, I think you have to. This is where Barry Odom is going to get tested. Going 2-0 against Ball State and Southern Illinois, is the expectation. Now it's time for Odom to earn his money, right? He was brought in here to turn the program around and get Purdue back competitively, and that's going to be a tall task, because you got 3 teams, one team that I think should be ranked, and then 2 teams in the top 10 right now. That would be in the college football playoff, right? So it's just a gauntlet right now. Schedule gets a little bit easier after that, heading into October, but Purdue needs to stay competitive in these games, and if they can squeak one out, then great. But
Tom, forecasting out here, but with what we've seen through the first 2 games, and even adding up what we've seen in the Big Ten, again, it's so early, and 2 games is a small sample. Teams change, things change. I mean, I remember there have been a couple of seasons where the first 2 weeks you look at Nebraska and you're like, here they come, baby. And then by November, you're like, all right, who's getting fired, right? So I understand that things change a lot, but has what Purdue done so far? Are they ahead of the curve? Are they ahead of where you expected them to be? And has it altered maybe any of your preseason expectations for what 2025 could bring for this program?
I think they've kind of done what they're supposed to do. After what's going on. But I think they've done what they're supposed to do to this point. Like Dub said, you expected to beat Ball State and SIU. They've checked a lot of boxes along the way here so far. And, there's still a lot more to be revealed, too. We've got to see them play an elite program like USC. How well they're going to hold up there against that speed, that athleticism, and that depth that they're going to bring to West Lafayette with them. So a good measuring stick for Purdue and a good measuring stick for USC.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a fun atmosphere at Ross-Ade Stadium as well. 3:30 kickoff in the afternoon. Purdue fans still excited with the fact that they're 2-0. The weather's going to be spectacular like it's been for the last couple of weeks. And sometimes those Big Ten road trips have been quirky for these teams that really, if we're being totally honest with ourselves, don't belong playing in this conference, because this whole thing is ridiculous. But I'll leave that maybe for a different show. The important thing is we will be with you on Friday for our game preview of Southern Cal. Join Tom, Dub, and me, and the rest of the Golden Black crew for those shows each and every week. The absolute best Purdue coverage can be found right here at goldenblack.com and on social media. So follow along for updates. Tom Dienhart and Dub Jellison as well. Appreciate you guys as always, and we'll see you on the Friday show.
Take care. Thank you, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
It's our friend Tom and Dub, and that is our show. Bada bing, bada boom, 15 minutes for Golden Black Radio. Thanks so much for joining us. And thank you to our presenting sponsor, Academy Sports and Outdoors, as well as Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit card for Purdue fans. East End Grill and Ripple and Company, 2 distinctive bistros across the street from one another on the far end of Main Street in Lafayette. The Whitaker Inn for unparalleled comfort and cuisine. Visit the Whitaker Inn. And the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research, which has a history of innovation and one goal for the future: defeat cancer. Join the fight and donate to the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research today. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button, and of course, you can leave a review on whatever podcast platform you are utilizing. We would really appreciate that. And if you haven't already, you're going to want to subscribe to goldandblack.com Of course, Knucklehead Central, all the great Purdue coverage at Gold and Black that you've come to expect, especially now with On3 and Rivals. I mean, we are at the peak of our superpowers right now at goldenblack.com. So if you're not already a subscriber, you're going to want to be part of the team there. Also, of course, we have our YouTube channel, goldenblack.com on YouTube, and all these podcast platforms enable alerts, do all of that. We always have new highlights, new videos, new podcasts, new shows, new content that is updated regularly for all of you Purdue fans in Boilermaker Nation. But until Friday for our preview show, it'll be Purdue and Southern Cal. We will see you next time right here on Gold and Black Radio. As you all know by now, Gold and Black Radio has also teamed up with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for our listeners each week. When you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet. Offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code ON3. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code ON3 when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that can expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3 and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.